Dr. Devi Gopinath, you may start with the introduction.
Okay, thank you so much. Very good morning to all the dignitaries and participants. Today, with immense pleasure, I am inviting Dr. Amandeep Singh, one of the very talented and eminent alumni of Indian Veterinary Research Institute, Bareilly. Welcome you, sir, to this 21 days training program. Before that, I
Thank you,
am
ma'am.
giving a brief introduction about sir. Sir has completed his Master in Veterinary Sciences in Veterinary Extension Education from the premier ICAR in IVRA, and he served as Veterinary Assistant Surgeon in the Government of Jammu and Kashmir and has rich expertise of frontline extension. Currently, Sir is serving as Assistant Professor in the Directorate of Extension Education, Guru Angad Dev, Veterinary and Animal Sciences University, Ludhiana, Punjab, with additional responsibility of working at the Department of Veterinary and Animal Husbandry and Extension Education, College of Veterinary Sciences, Gadwasu, Ludhiana. Sir has an inherent interest in information and communication technologies and currently working on two projects related to ICTs. Sir has developed one website named vetextension.com for information dissemination among interested stakeholders in livestock sector, which was his first ICT work. He has again developed three mobile apps, namely IVRA Waste Management Guide app, IVRA Animal Reproduction app, and IVRA Pig Farming app. Sir has developed two information systems, one each on dairy farming and the other on broiler farming. Sir has more than 100 publications to his credit, and he is editorial board member of three magazines and reviewer to peer-reviewed journals. Sir's current research interests include deep neural networks and development of ICTs and research methodologies. ICT is a new area for many of our participants, and let us welcome Sir once again. I'm welcoming Dr. Amandeep Singh to deliver and enlighten us with his lecture on the topic ICT in livestock sector. Welcome you, sir, once again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your comprehensive introduction and your applicable words. So I'll be sharing my screen now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
Okay, ma'am.
No, sir. Mr. Majid.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir is unable to share his screen, please.
He's starting.
Yeah. Is my screen visible now?
No, it's not. It's starting. It's not started yet.
Okay. Okay.
I think there are bandwidth issues from your side. It started. Can you start the?
Okay. Now is it visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Shall we start now?
Yeah, shall we? We shall start this slideshow.
Okay. Thank you so much, Majiji. So, first of all, I welcome all the participants of this national training course. So I'll be presenting a discussion on the use of information and communication technology, which are currently present in our country or which are presently being used worldwide in the livestock sector for the benefit of livestock farmers. So as far as ICT is concerned, it can be abbreviated as information and communication technology. And it is a big buzzword these days as far as information communication or extension advisory services are concerned. If we talk about extension, in orthodox terms, extension is extension of knowledge from laboratory to land. But nowadays, the concept of extension has further elaborated, whereby extension and advisory services are provided to farmers through digital media and by the use of information and communication technologies. What actually is ICT or information and communication technology? It is basically an umbrella term which encompasses internet, wireless networks, cell phones, SAT communications, digital TV, radio, etc. So whatever link to wire or wireless system, all those things comes under the ambit of ICTs. Even computer-based technologies and telecommunication be it through your fixed landline or through mobile phones, all these things comes under ICTs. And the recent boom in internet services has led to an era of ICTs in India as well. Now, there are a few novel terms which are related to ICTs. What are these terms? Let's see now. The first term is advocacy. Like we have seen advocacy, but now the new term has been arisen in the horizon of ICT. And advocacy, it means agriculture and advocacy. Whenever we advocate agriculture practices by the use of new technologies or by the use of ICTs, that term is known as advocacy. Now we have known about selfies. There are one term called as felfies. And what are felfies? Felfies are the farm selfies. Whenever some person go to his farm, be it agriculture farm or livestock farm or any allied farm related to agriculture, and whenever a person clicks the selfie, it's known as felfies. Now, what are the millennials? So millennials are also known as Generation Y, and this generation is most prone to digital media. So the generation which is born between 1982 to 2004, they are most prone to social media, they are most prone to ICTs. This is the reason they are known as millennials. And there is one more term called as social media readiness. It means that availability of social media and its use. So if social media channels are available to us and we are using those social media channels, that particular term is known as social media readiness. And let's talk about now farmer information sources, because before proceeding to the actual core of this lecture, we should be knowing that what are the sources from where farmers are obtaining their informations. Now, if we talk about majority of the farmers, that 59% farmers, they do not have any source of information available with them, or they are not obtaining any information from related to agriculture or allied sectors. So this based data is taken from NSS, so National Sample Survey Organization 2004, and according to this data, 59% of the farmers, they don't have any access to information. 7.4% of the farmers, they are obtaining information from private commercial agencies, 19.6% from progressive farmers, 11% from state departments of animal husbandry, of agriculture, of horticulture, KVKs, and state agriculture universities. So only 20% farmers, they are prone to media, or 20% of the farmers, they are obtaining information to the media sources which are available to them. Or in nutshell, we can say that only 20% farmers they are using ICTs for obtaining information. Now, talking about the application of ICTs, which is the body of this presentation. Now, the first application of ICT is TV and radio. We all started in 1927 to 29. There was the radio was started in India. The Kisan Vani and Kisan Ki Baat, they are the major radio programs which are being currently broadcasted by All India Radio. Then in 1958-59, television was started, and in 2015, on 26th May, a 24-hour channel for the farmers called as DD Kisan, Doordarshan Kisan, it was started. So the very first ICTs which were introduced in India in 1929 to 27 to 29, it was radio. And from there only we can say that the era of ICTs in India started with the advent of radio. And then in 1959, television was added, and in 2015, with the starting of DD Kisan, 24-hour news channel or new 24-hour information channel for the farmers, it was a new addition to the ICTs in India. Then community radio stations. The community radio stations, they are basically a localized radio stations which are operating on a particular frequency. So they have a particular frequency on which they broadcast need-based information to the farmers or to the other stakeholders. As far as agriculture is concerned, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University in Coimbatore and Gobind Vallabh Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar. So they are having this community radio stations with them, on which they generally broadcast agriculture related information to the interested farmers. So the major constraint for this community radio stations are they have a limited area of operation. Say for 25 to 30 kilometers they operate, whereas if we talk about the conventional radio stations, they operate over larger areas. But community radio stations, they operate over certain areas, and one advantage of these radio stations are they broadcast information in the local language. Like in All India Radio, we see that majority of the information it is broadcasted in Hindi. But in community radio stations, the information is provided to the farmers in their local language over a certain geographical area. Now, with the advent of mobile phone, I personally believe that the world is in one's hand. So this mobile phone technology, they have provided information access to majority, to the mass population present on this planet. And if we talk about the usage of mobile phone, as of January 2021, there were 4.66 billion active internet users worldwide. And that contributes 59.5% of global population. It means that almost 60% of population on the planet, they are using internet. And of this, 92.6%, like almost 93% people, they are accessing the internet via mobile devices. It means that mobile phone, they have increased access to the information sources, and not only increased access to the information sources, but also they have provided all the information channels in one's hand. So if one wants to obtain any information, like if I also wants to obtain any information, I generally Google things via my mobile phone, because my mobile phone is accessible to me at all the times whenever I need. Whereas computers, laptops, they are inaccessible at certain point of time. So almost 60% of global population on the planet is using internet, and 93% of them, they are using internet through mobile phones. Now, how mobile phones, they are basically being used in livestock sector, if we talk. So there are basically three domains in which mobile phones are being used. The first domain is obviously SMS, that is short messaging service and calls. Then we have mobile applications, and the major domain which is being accessibly used by the farmers, this is social media. So all these three domains of mobile phone technology, these domains are being used for obtaining information by all the interested stakeholders in livestock sector, not only farmers, but also the veterinarians, the assistant professors, or the research scientists. All these stakeholders involved in livestock sector, they obtain information through these sources. And the contribution of this particular sector, ICT, has been excessively increasing in case of other stakeholders except farmers as well. So if we talk about mobile apps, every now and then we see that mobile apps are being developed in the livestock sector for the farmers, for the interested stakeholders, for the veterinarians as well. Like NDDB, they have created mobile app for the veterinarians to upload daily artificial insemination data, whatever they perform in the field. IVRI, as when I was pursuing my master's from IVRI, we had a project from in collaboration with Indian Agricultural Statistics Research Institute, whereby we created some 12 to 15 apps based on different aspects of livestock farming, like artificial insemination, pig farming, reproduction, dairy manager, waste management, on goat farming, on different aspects of livestock farming. We developed mobile apps. And the current institution where I am serving, Guru Angad Dev Veterinary and Animal Sciences University, they have created mobile apps on dairy farming and dairy reproduction, on pig farming and goat farming. So the apps which are being displayed here, Gadvasu has created apps in the local language, and IVRI, they have created apps in multiple languages. So mobile apps, they are being increasingly being developed for the farmers and other stakeholders, and they are the most predominant of the ICTs which are being used nowadays by the farmers as well as by other stakeholders in the livestock sector. So now if we talk about the social media, so this is the social media map of 2019. Here in this map, we can see that there are few social media channels or social media networks which are being excessively used by the farmers, by other population residing on this planet. So Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, and OK. So these are the few social media networks which are being excessively used by the farmers and by other population on the planet. So this is the map. Like in India, if we talk about Indian subcontinent, so Instagram is being excessively used by the farmers and other stakeholders as well. Now, in Indian context, if we talk about social media, so how popular is social media? As of April 2021, 50.6% of the world population was active on social media. And in 2020, over 50% of India's population was accessing social networks. So more than 50% of Indian population, they were using social networks as of 2020. So if we talk about social media networks, Facebook is having highest users worldwide as of January 2021. 2.85 billion users were actively using Facebook in January 2021, whereas WhatsApp was having 2 billion users, Instagram was used by 1.3 billion users, and 396 million users they were using Twitter. If we talk about the increasing number of users, that the growth rate of the social media, Instagram has the highest growth rate among all the social media. And on number two comes WhatsApp. At some point of time, Facebook was being increasingly used, but as of now, Instagram, the growth rate of Instagram, as far as users are concerned, they are highest among all the social media. Now, if we talk about extension and advisory through social media, how we can use this social media for providing information to the farmers or information to the interested stakeholders. The first thing is obviously WhatsApp or Facebook groups. So there is no limit of number of users to the Facebook group. We can add interested stakeholders in a Facebook group and we can share knowledge with them. Then as far as sharing information is concerned, we do have WhatsApp groups as well. We can start our Facebook pages. We can start our own profile by the name of our institution or by the name of our organization in which we are serving. Or if we want to create any organization, we can create Facebook page or Facebook group with this name. And we can share information and knowledge with them. Then comes marketing. As far as livestock is concerned, livestock sector is concerned, we all know that the most volatile aspect of livestock farming is marketing, be it poultry, be it meat. There are the changes. There are so much fluctuations in the marketing. There's so much fluctuation in the prices of the commodities. So what we can do is, for marketing purpose, we can create social media groups or social media page where we can promote our farm and we can fetch good prices. Then as far as peer-to-peer networking is concerned, like Punjab Animal Husbandry Department, they have created one Facebook group with the name of Punjab Animal Husbandry Department activities, whereby they share their day-to-day activities, and for discussion purposes, they use this group. So with the use of social media, we can go for peer-to-peer networking as well. Then majority of the KVKs, as we know, that they are involved in OFTs and technology demonstrations. So in the COVID-19 pandemic, we have known that the social media use has been elaborated to an extent that almost all the conferences, even this lecture, is being delivered on using this Google Meet platform. So COVID-19 has given us a lesson that social media and online services can be used for the benefit of the farmers as well as, and we know that KVKs are involved in different demonstrations. So by using YouTube videos, we can perform online demonstration to the farmers. By using Google Meet or Zoom platform, we can give live demonstration to the farmers. We can use ICTs in this way as well. Then as far as short messaging service is concerned, SMS are concerned. So the first SMS portal for the benefit of the farmers, it was named as M-Kisan, and it was inaugurated in 2013 by the then Agriculture Minister of India. And since its inception, since it has been started, more than 2,462 crore SMS have been sent to the farmers till date. And similarly, in 2014, NDRI also launched NDRI messaging portal, which was messaging come interactive voice response system for the dairy farmers for 6 major milk producing states of the country. So SMS, slowly and steadily, SMS services has becoming obsolete, and new social media, new modes of media has been used for information dissemination among farmers. But when the mobile telephony services in the country started, at that particular point of time, SMS were the most important and widely used media for information dissemination among the farmers. Now, talking about the Kisan call center, so we all know that we all have heard about this. Is basically a telephonic system whereby advisories are made through telecommunication or through telephone. The farmers, they call on this toll-free number 14551, and they get real-time advisories. They get real-time advice from the farmers. And at present, this Kisan call center, they are providing information to the farmers and resolving farmer queries in 22 different languages. So this is also one of the application of ICTs. So this is one new endeavor of Gadwasu, Ludhiana. This is Pashu Palak Tele-Advisory Kendra, PPTAC. We generally use it as an acronym. And this is new endeavor for the livestock farmers. We have started 2 dedicated telephone lines for providing advisories to livestock farmers. This particular center has been established with the support of NABARD. And NDDB has also started one of its initiative, but this is first of its kind initiative for the livestock farmers and for providing advisory and information through telecommunications. Now, there are certain other initiatives for connecting with the farmers which we can use for information dissemination. Emails are there for literate farmers. We can use emails. Teleconferencing is one mode. Video conferencing is one mode. And in the areas whereby there is deficiency or deficit in mobile networks, we can use sat phones as well. So these are the other modes of communication which we can use depending upon the literacy of the farmers. So one important constraint or one important factor which we need to consider before using these networks, this is the literacy level of the farmers. If farmers are literate, we can send them emails instead of circular letters which we used to send them. We can use emails, and teleconferencing, video conferencing, and sat phones can also be used for information dissemination. And these are the orthodox information systems which were being created by different companies under their CSRs, that's corporate social responsibility. So e-Chopal was one of the information system which was developed in the year 2000 by ITC, Indian Tobacco Company Limited, to link to the rural farmers via internet for procuring inputs and marketing of their produce. And as far as e-Chopal nowadays is concerned, 38,000 villages has been covered under e-Chopal, whereby 6,500 kiosks, information kiosk has been established. Kiosk is basically a computer system, so whereby farmers can obtain information. So 6,500 kiosk has been placed in 9 different states of the country. And as of now, e-Chopal, it is involved in providing inputs like fertilizer to the farmers, seeds to the farmers, and different equipments which are required for farming. And also at the end of the farming cycle, the marketing of the produce of the farmers has also been undertaken by e-Chopal as of now. This is one more information system, WMSDP. The full form of this WMSDP is Web Module for Scientific Dairy Practices. So I was a part of this project when I was in final year of my BVAC and AH. So it was currently uploaded on the website of Sher-e-Kashmir University of Agricultural Sciences and Technology of Jammu. And currently it has also been placed in one of the information kiosks, which is lying in the Division of Veterinary and Animal Husbandry Extension Education. So this is one information system which is providing information regarding the scientific dairy practices. And the farmers can use it like the ATMs are being used. So they can click on the screen on the area on which information is required. They can click on the screen and obtain required information. So this is one more information system related to broiler farming, which was being, I was also a part of this development team when I was in MVAC. So this is, the name of this information system is BroiLearn. So BROI for broiler and learn for learning system. So this is broiler learning system, and all the information regarding broiler farming, it is being provided in this information system. So information system, if we talk about information system, it's basically computer software in which you click on any of the aspects on which you want to obtain information. Then regarding that aspect, you can read information on this particular system. Now, there are other expert systems which are being developed, like AMCUS. It is developed by NDDB, National Dairy Development Board. AMCUS stands for Automatic Milk Collection Unit System. By the use of this system, the farmer, the sample is taken from farmer's milk, and the fat analysis has been done, and payment is made directly into the account of the farmer by using this particular system. Then we have NADRIS, which is National Animal Disease reporting expert system, which is being developed by NIVEDI, National Institute of Veterinary Epidemiology and Disease Informatics, whereby different data, temporal data based on different years is being analyzed, and disease forecasting is made by using this particular expert system. So the basic difference of information system and expert system is that information system, just as the name suggests, it provides information on a particular topic, whereby expert system, they analyze something on their own through the inbuilt mechanism, and they comes up with requisite output. So this is the basic difference between information system and expert system. Now, web portals and websites. So in 1990s, the arena of web portals and websites, they started. So now there is a basic difference between a web portal and a website. So web portal is basically a specially designed website that brings information from diverse sources like emails, online forums, and search engines together in a single platform. Like different sort of information is being provided on a web portal, and two-way communication is guaranteed through web portal, whereas on websites it's only a one-way sort of communication. On websites you can only read information but cannot ask for information, or you cannot communicate to the administrators, whereas in web portals you can communicate to the to the developers, as well as you can submit your queries on web portals. Like if we talk about, Facebook is also a sort of web portal, whereby you can communicate with various admins, you can communicate with various people. So this is the basic difference between web portals and websites. And nowadays, the use of web portals and websites have been increasingly used for dissemination of information to the farmers and other interested stakeholders in livestock sector. So this is the website of Gadwasu. So these are the examples of websites. So this is TNAU AgriTech portal. So this is one example of web portal whereby different information sources are there, like on agriculture, on horticulture, on marketing, on animal husbandry as well. So TNAU was the very first, you can say, web portal based on agriculture and allied sectors in the country, which was developed under RKVY, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. So this is one of the web portals which were being started by me way back in 2017 when I was an internship at that time. So the farmers can obtain information from this web portal in different languages, like in Hindi, Punjabi, English. So they can visit this website and obtain information regarding livestock sector. So this is also one web portal, information network for animal productivity and health, also known as INAF. So all the veterinary officers which are attending this training, they are very well versed with this web portal. Whatever they do, even if they go for livestock insurance, even if they go for artificial insemination, or if any particular animal calves due after AI, so they have to upload data regularly on this web portal. And one mobile app has also been developed of INAF for the ease of veterinarians working in the field. So now comes in the chronology of ICTs, educational softwares. So these are the educational softwares which are being developed by IVRI. So 3 of such softwares are developed by IVRI, for one on goat management, the other on livestock diseases. So the first is Pashudan Evam Kukut Rog Suchna Pranali. This software is in Hindi language. This software runs on any media player which can run this DVD. So this software is uploaded in a DVD, and you can, if you want to purchase this software, you can purchase it from Ethic, which is located in IVRI. The other software for livestock diseases in English, it is Livestock and Poultry Disease Information System. It is also being developed by IVRI, and the third is Goat Health Management Information System. So these are the 3 softwares for providing information on various aspects of livestock farming to the farmers. Now there are educational CDs. CDs are in different languages. The CDs are on scientific swine management, integrated farming system, livestock diseases. So all these CDs are developed by IVRI for educating the farmers, and on bovine reproduction, the educational CDs are developed by Gadwasu also. So in these CDs, there are, before the advent of YouTube, CDs were very prevalent for information dissemination. So these organizations, what they did, they actually recorded videos based on different practices, based on different diseases. So uploaded all these videos in a CD for interactive information dissemination to the farmers. And these CDs were being used before the advent of YouTube, and after the advent of YouTube, the CDs has been obsoleted, and now the farmers also, they don't purchase the CDs, other than they Google their query and obtain information through YouTube. Now, one more feature in ICT world is the development of tutorials, like the tutorials on dairy farming, on pig reproduction. So these are being animated for the ease of farmers. The farmers, they can purchase these tutorials online. They can use these tutorials for gaining first-hand knowledge. Like a farmer will be using this particular tutorial in real time, like these animals belong to the farmer, and all the management practices are to be done by the farmer. So in the real time situation, the tutorials are being developed in the livestock sector. So these are the new additions in the world of ICTs in livestock sector. So this is one of the games. The name of this game is Farm Frenzy. So this is available on Android platform as well as on iOS. So this game also gives information regarding the management of livestock and how to save your livestock from the inclement conditions like wild animal attack and other things. And by the use of different livestock products, what things can be made. Like what can be made by using pig, by using meat, by using eggs, by using dairy, by using milk. So what products can be made? So all the information is provided by this particular game. The name of this game is Farm Frenzy, and it can be downloaded from Android platform as well as from iOS. So increasingly, these games are being developed for the farmers for ease of their understanding, and this gives a real-time snapshot to the farmers about various practices which are prevalent in livestock sector. Now, simulators, the first simulator was used for training the pilots, the aircraft pilots, but nowadays simulators are being developed in animal husbandry sector, in livestock sector as well. As of now, Advanced Center of Livestock Health, it is a component being developed under National Agriculture Higher Education Project, NEHEP project, sponsored by World Bank. So in ACLH, one simulator is being developed at IVRI also. So simulators are being developed for the farmers, whereby the farmers can learn new practices by the use of virtual effects, which is also known as VFX. So these are the also new additions to the ICTs as well. Now, if we talk about ICT-based model, so the first ICT-based model, it was developed by NDDB. So it was next generation AI delivery service model, whereby the farmer, they can ask for the AI through location tracker to GPS. The particular AI technician arrives at the home of the farmer to undertake the AI service of the animal which are in heat. So this is one model which is being developed by NDDB using ICTs. Then if we talk about MOOCs, so massive open online courses, they're also a new addition in the sector of ICTs, which are being used in livestock sector. As far as MOOCs are concerned, initially, the MOOCs were developed for veterinarians or for those progressive farmers who can know English, who understand English, because majority of the MOOCs related to livestock sector, be it on Udemy or on Coursera, so they are in English language. This is one platform which I am sharing, whose screenshot I am sharing with you, Vet MOOCs. So this is a new initiative which is taken by Guru Angad Dev Veterinary and Animal Health Sciences University. So now we are developing MOOCs in Hindi language, whereby the farmers can obtain information in the local language, and MOOCs can also be used by the farmers. So this is first of its kind endeavor, which is being done by Gadwasu for the livestock farmers, and we are developing MOOCs in Hindi language for the farmers. As of now, we have developed one massive open online course on pig farming. Shortly, we'll be inaugurating that MOOC for the farmers, and later on, we'll be developing MOOCs on goat farming, on poultry farming, dairy farming, and fish farming. So there are a total of 4 or 5 MOOCs which we have planned, and we'll be developing them in the coming time. Now, this is one screenshot of the MOOC, like postgraduate diploma in agriculture extension management. Different diplomas, they are being provided by using MOOC platforms. Manage is being actively using these MOOC platforms for providing information to the different extension functionaries in agriculture and allied sectors. So this is also one of the examples of ICTs in livestock sector. So Coursera, like I already told you, that Coursera is also providing MOOCs on livestock sector, which is also a part of ICTs. Now, as far as satellite broadcasting is concerned, so satellite broadcasting, it also comes under the ambit of ICTs. So as we know that Indian Space Research Organization, it is the premier organization which is involved in satellite broadcasting in the country. So there are different initiatives taken by ISRO for development of various programs for broadcasting, various programs, various farm-based programs. So this is a list of the programs, and all these programs, they are for the farmers, they are for enhancing the agriculture practices in the country, for enhancing the dairy production in the country. So the recent program which is currently being implemented by ISRO, it's internet-based dairy GIS by NDDB in 2014. So this is the latest information system which is being developed by NDDB using GIS, that is Geographical Information System, and it started in 2014. So the crux of this slide is that I just want to tell that satellite broadcasting is being used for enhancement in livestock sector, and that also comes under the ambit of ICTs as well. So these are the examples of remote sensing and GIS based mapping, like Geographical Information System, which I was talking about. So this is the map of Punjab state. How GIS and remote sensing can be used in livestock sector? There are various applications. Like last year, we know that there was a locust attack. So the locust attack, it was being forecasted by the use of remote sensing. So remote sensing, it means that satellite, they are sensing something on the ground. So there are different aspects, like vector movement can be controlled, vector movement can be analyzed, or vector movement can be seen by the use of satellites. And as we know that there are different livestock diseases which are being propagated by the vectors, so vector movement can be tracked by use of remote sensing. We also know that livestock is the second largest contributor in the greenhouse gases. So livestock waste production, it can be analyzed using remote sensing and GIS. We can geotag different locations or different hotspots using GIS and remote sensing, and then subsequently we can go for different interventions for reducing the GHG production and also for enhancing the sustainability in livestock production. So these applications also comes under the ambit of ICTs. Now, one very novel arena which is being excessively used in livestock sector, it is artificial intelligence. So before going to the core of artificial intelligence in livestock sector, so let's understand what is artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. And so machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, also known as NLP, or cloud computing, neural networks, be it artificial neural network or deep neural network or convolutional neural network. So these are all the applications of artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence means the intelligence which is being reciprocated by the use of computers or by the use of algorithms. So natural intelligence, it is inherited, it is by the virtue of human brain, and artificial intelligence, it is by the virtue of computers. And machine learning, it's the heart and soul, or some say it's the meat and potatoes of artificial intelligence. So machine learning is basically the algorithms which are used, the algorithms which are developed to make any system functional, or to make any artificial intelligence based technology work. So machine learning is basically the coding process. And as far as deep learning is concerned, deep learning, it is by the virtue of the algorithm which has been already being developed. And once you train a system, and then after training, the system performs its own function, it performs its own analysis, then we say that that particular system, it's a deep learned system. That particular system has been trained, and now that particular system, it is making its own decisions. And natural language processing, it's also one of the applications of AI, whereby any farmer or any stakeholder talks to a system and gets output. The input is voice and the output is information. Like we have chatbots like Alexa, Siri, we have Google Assistant in our phone. So these all systems, all these applications are based on NLP. This is my recent work. I'm currently working on deep neural networks, and this is multi-layer perceptron-based deep neural network. And basically, a neural network, it is also a set of algorithms. It's also one of the applications of AI, whereby you input something into a system and then get your desired output, and whereby an algorithm is made, you train that algorithm and then you put data into it, and then data is analyzed on its own and the desired output is obtained. And this is one of the examples of artificial neural networks. Artificial neural networks, they are used for forecasting, for data analysis, and for different other applications. Now, if we talk about the applications of artificial intelligence in livestock health, so we have robotics controlled equine imaging system. As we know that all the radio waves, they are ionizing radiations and they have a harmful effect on human body. So now in Pennsylvania State University, PSU, they have their veterinary college called as PenVet. They are using this particular application, which is robotics controlled equine imaging system. Then we have canine patient simulators. A simulator is made on which the undergraduate and the postgraduate students, they practice on the simulators before practicing on the real animals. Now we have thermal imaging camera for disease diagnostic. As we all know that whenever there is infection in animal's body, the temperature of that particular organ it increases, and this infrared cameras or the thermal imaging cameras, they detect that particular region, and they are being used for mastitis diagnosis from long back. Then robotics are being used in reconstructive surgeries as well. We have anti-stress ear tag for cattle, whereby almost 200 vitals of animals' body, they are being recorded in these ear tags and subsequently analyzed for forecasting different parameters of animals' body. Then we have pig respiratory disease package, because PRRS is a very fatal disease for the pigs, and one of such softwares are being made using AI for forecasting this particular disease. Then we have different applications for livestock production, like we have automatic feed manager based on the need of the animals, based on the consumption of the animals, based on the production of the animal. The automatic feed manager, it formulates feed and provides it to the animal. Then we have 3D cameras to assess beef cattle. Like we know that fat percentage in animal body, it's very important, because excess fat leads to the wastage of feed, and we have 3D cameras which analyze the body conditioning score of the animals, and based on the BCS, the decision to sell or market the animals, it is made. We have robocams for the poultry, like in environmentally controlled houses, whereby the human touch needs to be limited. Then robocams at those places, robocams are used for analysis of different production parameters. We have virtual fences for controlling cattle, because in large grasslands and in extensive system of farming, the cattle, they are being restricted to a particular area for grazing using these virtual fences. What these virtual fences do, they provide a small quantity of shock to the animal to change the direction of grazing of that particular animal. Then we have artificial intelligence based hydroponic system, whereby the conditions for growing different fodder, it's being maintained by the use of AI. Then we have Dutch cattle expert system, whereby the farmers, they obtain information by putting in the inputs. Like if they want to formulate their ration, they input certain quantities of the ingredients which they have, and based on the ingredients, it provides information on ration formulation, and it also provides information on disease diagnosis and different aspects of scientific animal management. Then we have applications of artificial intelligence in case of animal reproduction. So we have smart collars for detecting fertility. Basically, what these collars do, they take into consideration different vitals of animal body. They take into consideration the movement of animal is making. Like we have smart pedometers. So based on the number of steps the animal has walked, we all know that when the animal is in heat, the activity of that animal, it increases. So this animal activity, it is being recorded by using these smart collars, cow gait analyzers, and pedometers. So all these are the applications of AI in animal reproduction. Then we have intelligent dairy assistants, so which provide provides real-time information to the farmers regarding various aspects of animal body. Now we have different applications for animal products as well. Like we have automated milking booth, the cattle or the buffaloes, the dairy farms in which these automated milking booths are being used. So cattle and buffaloes, they come to the milking parlor automatically by the help of a robo arm or robotic arm. The milking machine is being plugged on the teats of that particular animal, and automatically the machine milks the animal. Then we have milking robos, we have automated milk cooling systems, we have robo hide pullers, we have robo carcass splitters, and smart packaging as well. So this smart packaging of animal products, they are also based on AI, on various laser systems. If animal product is, if any of the product, it is not according to the quality parameter of the company, the robo segregates that product. So all these examples are of AI in animal products. Then we have applications in animal welfare as well, like we have RoboFish, which simulates the fish in actual terms, and different experiments are made on this RoboFish. We have protection assistant for wildlife security, whereby poaching of wild animals is being prevented by the use of this particular system. We have man's best friend. We have man's best friend 2.0, which simulates the pets in real terms. Then to minimize the drug testing on animals, we have generated different softwares. So we need not to take into consideration the lab animals. We have different softwares which can be used for testing drugs on animals. And one more addition on in AI in livestock sector is that dogs can speak. So there are different softwares which analyze the barking pattern or the emotional pattern of the dogs. This particular technique is known as sentiment analysis, and by the use of this sentiment analysis, we can also make dogs to speak. Then we have applications for livestock statistics as well. We have Vitals diagnostic software, whereby based on the radiograms, the diagnosis is being made. We have vet computing tools. We have cognitive computing tools. For genomic studies, we have deep genomics, and for record keeping, we have DeepMind. DeepMind, it is being developed by Google for record keeping. Then there is one associated term for all these technologies. Whenever all these technologies like pedometers, automated feed managers, sensors, if we use Internet of Things, we use computers, we use apps. So when all these things, all these technologies are combined, that leads to a term called as precision livestock farming, whereby all the activities, they are computer oriented, and they are oriented by the use of softwares, and only that much amount is being spent on different practices which is required. So precision livestock farming, it is also covered under the concept of AI, and by using ICTs and livestock sector. So thank you so much. With this, I conclude my lecture, and if any of the worthy participants have any question regarding this discussion, they can please ask me.
Thank you so much, sir, for your elaborate lecture on ICT in livestock sector, as well as familiarizing us with the very new information technologies that can be used in agri sector extension as well. And let us address few queries by the participants. Sir,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can see them in the chat box also.
Okay. Yeah, ma'am.
So the first question I'll read out. ICT has a lot of disadvantages as well. Trainings don't have hands-on approach, highly internet dependent, which is very slow, which is very low strength in rural areas. Many people do not have smartphones. Lot of time spent on checking WhatsApp and others, which could have been spent on some serious work. Only advantage is dissemination of some important information or government priority information at fast pace. Even online trainings are half false. This is a comment. I think it is not a question. Sorry, sir.
Okay. No, ma'am, basically when ICTs were started way back, if we talk about Indian context, when ICTs were started way back in 2000, there were different, constraints which are being faced by the different stakeholders. Yes, internet connectivity is one, high cost of mobile phones are one, but nowadays, if you see that you can purchase a smartphone in 4,000 rupees as well. Jio has provided 2 GB data per day in rupees to 300. So the internet penetration has also been increased. The smartphone prices has also been decreased. So the ICTs are booming nowadays, and the disadvantages of ICTs like internet connectivity and increasing price of smartphones, slowly and steadily they are being decreased, and I am sure that in coming times almost all the farmers they'll be having access to the ICTs by using smartphones.
Yes, sir.
One comment is Indian farmers using Instagram. Surprised. Indian farmers are no way behind the farmers of any developed country. Indian farmers are using IoTs. Indian farmers are using artificial intelligence. Indian farmers are using lot many new models of ICTs in their farms. So this is one reality check also to us, that we should not underestimate the Indian farmers. They are progressing. We have progressive farmers in our country who are having herds of thousands of animals, and they are using different aspects of ICTs in their day-to-day practices.
Most of the extension centers, KVKs, are functioning with non-extension experts. Share your views, sir.
So this is, I believe, ma'am, this is one policy aspect which varies from university to university. Like we have 3 KVKs under Gadhwas who currently working at Mohali, Barnala, and Tarantaran, and all these 3 KVKs, they are equipped with animal scientists with them. So these are basically the policy issues which needs to be addressed by the particular university in the coming time. As far as the ICR mandate is concerned, so ICR had mandated that all the KVKs must have one animal scientist with them. So in the coming time, I hope that all the KVKs will be having one animal scientist as well as also the extension experts with them.
Next question. Although using smartphones among farmers is being common, still farmers are a bit laggard using the ICTs. In my experience in KVK during pandemic, very few farmers used to participate in training programs through Google Meet or virtual mode. But when it has been started in actual mode, they participate as usual, and they participate as usual. Sir, what is your opinion regarding this? How can we overcome this barrier?
Actually, honestly, ma'am, what I believe is in this COVID-19 pandemic, there were lots and lots of webinars, trainings on through online media, through Google Meet and through Zoom. And at certain point of time, this particular trainings and this media, it became toxic for the farmers. So we also used to conduct one webinar, monthly webinar for the farmers. And at the very beginning, the number of farmers used to be 150, 200. But slowly and steadily, when we were at 20th or 25th webinar of our series, then the number of farmers decreased to even 15. So then we realized that farmers, they are having ample amount of sources, and moreover the farmers, they are interested in learning things practically because they don't want any bookish knowledge. So when in the real time they are being advocated things, they are being shown things, they are demonstrated things in the practical senses or in the real times, then only the farmers, they are interested, they learn more comparatively. And as far as the future is concerned, we should be using media mix. We should be using both online and offline media. So in the coming times, not only we should not rely only on online media, but offline media should also be used for the farmers for their better understanding and for their first-hand knowledge.
Yes. Then a cost of CDs and tutorials you shared, sir.
Exactly. Cost of CDs and tutorials. Okay. So as far as this softwares are concerned, educational softwares are concerned, which are being developed by IVRI, the cost of that software, it is 5,000 rupees for one software. And CDs are lesser than 5,000, exact amount I need to confirm. But the educational softwares for organizations, for different universities and NGOs working in animal husbandry sector, the cost is 5,000 rupees. And as far as tutorials are concerned, tutorials are in the development stage. They are yet to be made, and they have not developed yet, but being developed in livestock sector. So it in the coming time, it will be a new addition in the livestock sector.
Then there are lots of apps being developed every day with limited usage. Sometimes they are not even user friendly.
Yeah, this is one limitation what we face as far as when we develop mobile apps. So there is a proper methodology once we create any mobile app or any ICT, the first thing is you need to assess the needs of the farmers. If you are developing any technology which is not required by the farmers, that is not going to be used. So the first step in development of any technology is that you assess the need. And the extensionists who are listening this particular presentation, they know that we have different techniques to assess the needs. You can go for knowledge test, you can go for opinion analysis, you can go for sentiment analysis, you can go for attitude, perception. You can analyze their statements, you can analyze their behavior, you can understand their needs, and then only you go for development of any technology. And the second thing, one of the comments I was reading is that the content. So the development of the content is the heart and soul of any technology. You cannot randomly go for development of any technology. The basic necessity of any ICT is the content. So the contents needs to be developed based on the needs of the farmers. It needs to be vetted by the experts of the field. Only after vetting, only after reviews by the experts, you put that particular content into the technology or into the ICTs which you are creating, and then you put it on the public platforms. Then comes the advertisement also, because we develop technologies not only for us, not only for our biodatas or our resumes. We develop technologies for the farmers, and ultimately if the end user is not aware of our technology, that is not going to be used. So advertisement is also important. So if you are conducting trainings, if you are having any magazine, you're publishing in any of the magazines, if you're publishing in any of the journals, you put a box, you put comments regarding the technology which are being developed by you, so that the farmers or the interested stakeholders may know about your technology and start using them.
So then how to make an app for better AI service in the farmers field? Do we have to follow any rules and regulation for making an authorized app? Kindly share your views and ideas in this regard.
So we have, this is very genuine and very nice question to be asked in this context. So whenever we develop any app, like I already said, that we first need to go for need assessment. So we assess the need of the farmer. Then we should prioritize the needs, because the needs are, numerous needs are there. So we need to prioritize that particular need pertaining to our like if we want to develop any mobile app for AI, for artificial insemination, we need to prioritize the apps, like what information is required by the farmer, on what topic farmer require more information. You put more content on that particular topic, and on what topics farmers require less information, and you put less emphasis on those topics. So once need has been established, content has been prioritized, the next step is the content development. You develop your content, you give your content to the developer will develop a mobile app. And then what happens is, as far as the authorization is concerned, if you are working in an organization, you need to take requisite permissions from that organization. And then comes displaying your app on Android platform or on iOS platform. So before that, you need to purchase subscription for that particular platform. As far as Android platform is concerned, some $50 odd, $50 USD, they are required for purchasing the requisite space on that Android platform, and only after purchasing that space on platform you can put your mobile apps. And as far as permissions are concerned, you need to take it from your sponsoring organization or the institute in which you are working.
At KVKs, we are using WhatsApp group for gathering farmers at short notice in webinar, e-Chopal, online trainings or on-campus training, as well as press releases, newspaper coverage, etc. This is good news. Give brief explanation on neural network for forecasting, sir.
So neural networks, as far as neural networks are concerned, as I already told in my presentation, so these are basically the set of algorithms. And in crux, in nutshell, I just want to say that all the algorithms are based on regression. So regression analysis, it's the mother of all the algorithms. And the algorithms, based on your inputs and outputs, the data which you want to assess, they are developed based on the data. And then algorithms, they analyze the data on their own and give the outputs. So neural networks, you can use it for data analysis, like deep neural networks, and artificial neural network is basically an umbrella term. Like if you want to go for data analysis, you can do data analysis using deep neural network or artificial neural network. And if you want to go for image analysis, like we were having one app called as Plantix. So that app was particularly used for obtaining information on various diseases of the plants. If you click a photo, then the app automatically gives you information based on different diseases. Then that particular app, Plantix, it was based on convolutional neural networks. So if you want to go for image analysis, then convolutional neural networks are being used. And if you want to go for data analysis, artificial neural networks are being used. So neural networks, they work basically using different algorithms.
Then in India, majority of farmers are rearing 1 to 3 cows or buffaloes and 10 to 15 sheep or goat. Please suggest a good application for them, sir.
As far as dairy is concerned, IVRI has developed mobile app on artificial insemination on dairy farming as well. The farmers can use that app. As far as goat is concerned, goat and sheep are concerned, CSWRI Vikanagar and CIRG Makhdoom, they have created different apps for sheep and goats. So these apps can be used. As far as one single app is concerned, as of now there is no credible single mobile application which covers almost all the aspects of livestock farming. Because whenever we talk about livestock rearing, we don't have a single species. We have cattle, we have buffalo, we have sheep, goat, camel, equine. So different species of livestock are there, and enormous information we need to generate for the farmers. And whenever we increasingly generate more information, the size of mobile app increases. And we cannot afford to have larger mobile app sizes because there are issues in internet connectivity, and the farmers cannot download all these apps. So therefore, different package of practices are being provided in different languages to the farmers by different applications. So IVRI has also made in different ICR institutes like CIRG Makhdoom and CSWRI Vikanagar. They have already created mobile apps on sheep, goats, and rabbits.
So, monitoring is easy for top officials, but those at ground level face issues. A minister had to climb on top of tree using ladder to get the network. That is the reality faced. Comments, please, sir. Network.
Exactly. Monitoring as far as monitoring is concerned, we are using ICTs for monitoring. Here the literacy level plays a very important part. Like if we talk about veterinary officers, if we talk about assistant professors, we are highly aware about the ICTs, we are literate, we can use it properly. Whereas ground staff is concerned, literacy is one of the issues. So maybe in the coming time, monitoring of the ground staff or the subordinate staff can be done easily by using ICTs as well.
Is Quora a website or web portal?
Quora is a web portal. Quora is a web portal because therein you can ask questions, therein you can put your comments as well. So Quora is a web portal.
Any ICT developed and introduced in first time, they have more viewers or users. Please share the year-wise user details of the app developed by any one top institution. So,
the simple answer to this query is that every technology follows a bell-shaped curve. So at certain point of time, it increases with increasing slope, then comes the point of stagnation, then it decreases. Because ultimately the adoption of that particular technology, the adoption follows the bell-shaped curves as well. The adoption reach at a highest point in a certain point of time. The use of that particular technology, the exploitation, you can say, that of that particular technology has been done by the interested stakeholders, and ultimately at certain point of time, the prevalence of that particular the interest in that particular technology, it decreases until and unless regular updates, because reconsideration is an important aspect in ICTs as well. You, based on the comments, based on the reviewers of the users, you need to reconsider your technology, you need to review your technology, you need to add on more aspects. Like if we see that WhatsApp, YouTube, Facebook, they are being increasingly used by the farmers. Why? Because new information are being currently consecutively added in these technologies. And once, if we talk about mobile app, this is if the mobile app is static. There are two types of mobile apps, static and dynamic. If the mobile app is static, if you're not adding any content to the mobile app, ultimately at one certain point of time, the adoption will be the highest, and then the frequency of downloads and also the interest of the farmers or other interested stakeholders, it decreases in that particular technology. So you need to reconsider your technologies and keep on adding new information to it.
So what is the success rate regarding increased fertility rate by the use of AI in extension?
As far as basically this question belongs to gynecology section, but I want to respond to this question. As far as success rate is concerned, ultimately ICT will help in increasing the success rates, because ICT, once you develop it, it serves as a ready reckoner of information to the interested stakeholders. Suppose if an AI technician forgets something, they can use that particular ICT made for artificial insemination. They can obtain information from them and again go for that particular practice. So ICT adds to the information pool and also acts as a ready reckoner for the different stakeholders in livestock sector.
So this same questioner has asked, any real-time data is available for this?
Yes, like I was discussing about the INAF portal. So INAF portal, it is being developed by NDDB, National Dairy Development Board, and real-time data, all the veterinary officers working in the field, village-wise, district-wise, state-wise, year-wise data. It can be downloaded in Excel sheet format from INAF website, because regular monitoring of this particular website, web portal, and regular updation of this web portal is taken every day by the field veterinarians, and it is reviewed by a state level monitoring committee every day. So if you want any data regarding artificial insemination, you can download it from INAF portal.
Yes, sir. And other comments are all congratulations comments, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative and elaborate lecture, and
Pleasure, ma'am.
enlightening our participants regarding the ICTs, which is not much common area of interest. But still, thank you so much, sir,
Thank you so much, ma'am.
in your
It's
invitation
my pleasure.
and giving your best presentation, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You may leave the lecture, sir.
Okay, ma'am.